If these 5 money rules had been taught in school, your life would be very different today. What I mean is that many of us never received proper financial education in our childhood or adolescence. It's something quite common, and you can confirm it in the comments. But in most cases, our parents also didn't take the time to teach us about money and how to handle it correctly. The truth is, they probably didn't grasp basic concepts like budget management and investments themselves. All of this prepares you for a life of financial struggle. All the advice I'm about to share, I didn't learn in school. I acquired this knowledge through reading, attending courses and conferences, watching videos online, and talking to successful people. But all of this was self-driven because I wanted to improve my financial situation. And to do that, I needed to enhance my financial education. That's why today, I'm going to share the 5 money lessons they didn't teach you in school, but will lead you to success. Did you know that compound interest is the easiest way to invest and accumulate wealth? Compound interest is a financial concept that might be a bit difficult to grasp at first, but it can be explained with a simple analogy. Let's imagine you have a garden with a plant that produces flowers every day. The plant produces 1 flower a day, and if you take good care of the plant, it will multiply. After a few days, the plant will have produced several flowers, and if you leave those flowers on the plant, it will produce even more. Continuing with the plant analogy, if you pick the flowers every day and use them to plant more flowers, after a while, you'll have a much larger quantity of flowers than if you had left the initial flowers on the plant. In a similar way, if you reinvest your earnings in an account that pays compound interest over time, you'll have a much larger sum of money than if you had withdrawn your earnings every time you receive them. A straightforward example of compound interest would be to invest $1,000 at a 10% interest rate. During the first year, your investment would generate $100 in interest. The following year, you'd have $1,100 in your account. Now, let's assume you add $50 to that investment every month. This means that in 10 years, those initial $1,000 plus the $50 you added each month will grow to $13,100. You might be thinking this is too complicated and that you don't even understand how it will be useful in the future. But what I'm about to say is closely related to the next point. Imagine you're saving for retirement or any other long-term goal. Compound interest is incredibly useful when you save regularly and allow compound interest to grow and multiply your savings. You can reach your goals much faster this way. And here's one of the most important things. If my grandparents or parents had made an investment with compound interest, I wouldn't be making videos right now. I'd be living off the inheritance. I believe this is something that happened to many of us. In school, I remember creating our life project, envisioning how we'd look in 5 or 10 years, but the school or the education system never told us, hey, this is how investments work. And if you have good control of your finances, you'll reach your life project. That never happened. I've had to see high school classmates drowning in debt, firstly because they didn't have good control of their finances, and secondly, because they never sought to grow their wealth through investments. I'm going to give you a couple of reasons for this. Investing from a young age is essential, but it's something we all should have learned. First, when you're young, you have an advantage compared to others, and that advantage is time. When you start investing at a young age, you have more time for your investments to grow, especially if you apply the concept of compound interest, which works wonders, as mentioned before. Secondly, we know that being young gives you an advantage in terms of time, during which your investments grow and your knowledge also increases. You have time to learn about different types of investments and how financial markets function. Being young, you're likely to make mistakes, and I've certainly made my fair share of financial blunders. But the lesson is to learn and correct. As a young person, you should focus on protecting your financial future. Investing essentially helps you build a strong financial foundation that can protect you in case of emergencies or during an economic recession, like the current one. Of course, this doesn't only apply to young people. Older individuals can start investing, but the margin for errors is smaller because they don't have as much time to recover from mistakes. Now let me ask you, do you have debts? Do you consider them good or bad? Not all debt is bad, and not all debt is good. Let me explain the difference. Good debt is the kind that allows you to invest in something that can generate long-term value. For example, buying a property to rent out or investing in your education. On the other hand, bad debt is used to buy things that don't generate long-term value, such as unnecessary purchases or vacations. In fact, back in college, I had a professor who said that going on vacation was a great investment. But what happened to that professor? Well, he followed his own advice and went on vacation every semester, but he paid for it with debt. He never sought to invest or grow financially. He was content with his job. While most of the anecdotes I share tend to have positive endings, this one doesn't. My former economics professor still has the habit of going into debt for vacations. So I wonder, what will happen when he loses his job? How will he pay off the debt from his vacations? These are questions you should ask yourself before considering going into bad debt. The key to understanding the difference between good and bad debt is recognizing that debt can be a powerful tool if used responsibly. Good debt can help you build a solid financial future, while bad debt can leave you with a pile of payments and no lasting rewards. Therefore, it's important to be careful when making borrowing decisions and have a good financial education to know when it's appropriate to take on debt and how to manage it effectively. However, all of the points mentioned above are of little use if you don't understand the difference between an asset and a liability. In simple terms, an asset is something that generates income or increases its net worth, while a liability is something that costs you money or decreases your net worth over time. For example, if you buy a property and rent it out, that property is an asset because it generates income. On the other hand, if you buy a car that requires constant maintenance and doesn't generate income, it's considered a liability because it costs you money to maintain. It's important to note that some assets can turn into liabilities if not managed properly. For instance, if you buy a property and use it as your primary residence, it's considered an asset as long as it generates income. But if it's just an expense and doesn't generate income, it becomes a liability. However, if you take a loan to buy it and can't afford the monthly payments, the property becomes a liability because it's costing you money instead of generating income. In essence, assets are things that generate income for you, while liabilities are things that take money away from you. Knowing the difference between them can help you make smarter financial decisions and build a solid financial foundation. Financial education allows us to understand how money works and how we can make it work for us, rather than us working for it. By grasping basic financial concepts like the difference between assets and liabilities and how to generate passive income, we can make more informed financial decisions. Instead of relying on a job and a single source of income, we can build assets that generate passive income and allow us to achieve financial independence. But if you found the information in this video helpful, you can't imagine how beneficial the next video will be. Rush to watch it.